Welcome to my world. I'll tell you a little manifesting story. It's actually kind of a big manifesting story, to tell you the truth. It's about manifesting money, and it's about manifesting the perfect person to get something done, the absolutely perfect human being. It's about manifesting the perfect group of people coming together. And it's also about love. You know, if you have trouble applying the secret, it's because some other function isn't operating. Like love is a function. And when love operates, a lot of people associate love and manifesting, and they're right. Because when love is operating, and when you have caring and sharing, I found out somebody had written a book about manifesting called The Secret when a friend of mine called me from Santa Fe and told me that people were having manifesting parties where they were all getting together and watching a movie called The Secret about manifesting. And I said, really? And it rang true for me, like it hit home, because this is the way people relate to manifesting when they're actually succeeding with it. They're functional, their sharing function is on, it's turned on, their caring and loving functions are turned on. So they do things like they invite people over to change their lives. And I said, okay, this has got to be real. I got to have a look at this. Which then led to me writing a book about The Secret. Because we used to teach The Secret. The friend of mine who called me and told me about it, that it was happening in Santa Fe, we taught The Secret. We retired from that field around 1994. And that's when we started showing people how to cure things. And now we're up to around 55,000 cures. And we've only been measuring our cures with the Cure Drive poll and tally since June of 2004. Like we retally the cures every week. So, okay, the story is the story of Charles Smith curing his cancer. And if you go to the Cure Show page at some point after you watch this movie, you can see the Cure Shows with Charles Smith there. There's a whole series of them. And the story begins with Keeley meeting Charles. He was a friend of Keeley's. And they struck up a friendship. And then he, told her, she was telling him about the Cure Show, which we had back then. This was back in 2002, I think it was. And long, long ago. And Keeley was telling Charles about the Cure Show, and he said, oh, I have tinnitus, and I'd really like to cure that. So can I be on the Cure Show? Now, tinnitus is a ringing in the ears. Nobody knows what causes it. And in passing, he also mentioned that he had some melanoma, which, his doctor was planning to take off, I guess, with laser surgery. And Keeley mentioned this to me, and I immediately realized that this was a Cure Show about cancer. But Charles didn't. He didn't think he needed to do anything about his cancer. His doctor was going to take care of it. It wasn't until the cancer was wrapped around his heart, and his doctor gave him 3 months to live, the last drug failed, that he actually buckled down and cured the cancer. So, anyway, we did this Cure Show with him, and if you listen to the Cure Show, what you will hear is, the Cure Show is under cancer. It says Charles Smith, cures his cancer, and if you listen to the first Cure show, which is probably around an hour and something, and what you'll hear is this guy curing tinnitus. So you'll be listening to this and you'll go, my God, I'm on the wrong Cure show here. What? This is a Cure show about tinnitus. And at the very end of the show, I said, hey, you know, by the way, didn't you have melanoma? And he goes, oh, yeah, I do have some. And I said, well, why don't we do something with that? And so we took that out. We found that in his non-physical bodies. And you see, what we do, I'll just explain what we do a little bit here. We train you, should you choose to accept your training, to follow a thread of signals to a negative medical test on whatever the disease is you're trying to cure. And beyond that, because, I say beyond it, because probably when you get your negative medical test, you will still be hosting the disease. And your doctor will tell you this. You know, your doctor will say, you know, that, okay, you're testing, you know, we're not finding any right now. You're testing negative. You know, let's retest you again in a few months. Let's hope that, you know, we don't see any more of it. And elsewhere, I tell a story about a very good friend of mine who got a negative medical test on cancer. And this was before we knew we could cure cancer. She had a mastectomy, and they seemed to have gotten it all. They didn't find anything else on any of the tests. And years later, she died of cancer. She was one of the doctors who founded cancer support groups. And she was also the only woman I was ever lovers with who died. So this was a major rite of passage for me, her death. And it led me to be very committed to people like Charles, you know, when he felt as though his melanoma wasn't a very serious thing and his doctor was going to handle it. And, you know, for me, all my antennae were up, you know, because Charles was a lot younger than I am. And, but he was also, you know, only a little younger than Jackie was when she died. Anyway, she died about 8 years before I cured my first case of cancer. And I say I cured. It was Edith Huber, one of my students in my courses in The Secret. And Edith certainly manifested herself into a cure for cancer. That was her second cancer. The doctor told her she had like maybe a 40% chance of surviving. And she cured it. So, you know, I say that I cured it. Of course, you know, she did the curing, but we are responsible when we tell somebody they can cure something, and they do. You know, if you tell somebody they can cure something, they cure it. You cured them. I mean, even if you only, I'll just show you.